Hello, my brothers and my sisters. Hope all is well with you on today. Vice President Harris has been doing a lot of media here lately, and her latest was sitting down with Fox News, and she decided to sit down with Brett Baer to do an interview. And I encourage you to go and watch that. I haven't as of yet. I'm going to do it right now, and you'll hear the audio version of it, and I'll be responding to that. But you can do your own due diligence and go and take a look at that particular interview. Um, this particular election cycle, uh, I believe, is one of, if not the most important. And I think it's good to get to know the candidates. That way, you can make an informed decision on what you're going to do to see where they stand, what it is that they represent. And so let's take a listen.
Vice President, thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
Voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have, and you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, big number. It's 1 million, 3 million.
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system.
We have a broken immigration system because you caused this broken immigration system. Listen, he asked her a question. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years? Now, you would think you could easily say, I think it's been roughly 5 million, 6 million, 200,000, 10 million, whatever. You would think that she could easily give a simple answer to that. But here we go again with word salad. Kamala, however you pronounce her name.
Needs to be repaired.
So the Homeland Security Secretary said that
Well, no,
85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial.
Yep.
So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called.
None of that crap has anything to do with the question. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years? Not the Inflation Reduction Act, not the CHIPS Act, none of that crap. And you're going to go into what? You're trying to filibuster and not answer the question. You could have answered a simple question. I mean, come on, you're the vice president of the United States of America, so it's not like your people don't know or don't have these answers. This guy is a journalist asking you the questions, and he even cited your Homeland Security uh, person and the numbers that he has. And so it wasn't as bad as it is now because, yes, we've had a bad immigration system for years. Uh, I believe Donald Trump did try to do something about it, but has been fought on it. And then the policy that he did implement was working. And that was one of the first things you guys put a stop to. Oh, but let's see what she say.
U.S. Citizenship Act of
Exactly.
2021. It's essentially a pathway to citizenship for the. Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding,
But
please?
but
you have to let me finish.
you
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and
in
they
the
didn't
middle
bring up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you raised.
Did y'all hear that? Because that's true. You had the White House, Congress, and the Senate, and you didn't bring up that bill. Really? Okay, so there's something you could have gotten done, but you didn't do. Okay.
I'd like to finish.
Go ahead and finish.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
Then why did you undo what
From
was
day
working?
one, then, we have done a number of things.
No, you didn't.
Including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed.
It's illegal to cross over in the first place, so to me, don't even bother to dump them into our country. You came over illegally. Send them back. How hard is that? Don't come. Apparently, they didn't pay no attention to what you said then. Don't come. Don't come. Don't come. Lines of people coming over with shirts that says Biden on it. He broke the law. And so when they came over, the Border Patrol agents should at that point be able to say, no, we have a border. They can come right through the border legally. You come over illegally, you broke the law, and therefore go back to your country. And if we're not going to send them back to their country, then guess what? Lock them up. Don't release them into our country and then make the American people pay for it.
Deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on
Apparently,
supporting
what you're doing ain't
what was
working.
a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States
Give me a
Congress,
break.
to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill.
She still
It
ain't
would have
answered
allowed us to
questions.
stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done.
Yes, ma'am.
As the Attorney General,
Really?
former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
Six
And
Democrats
Donald Trump
voted against that
There
bill.
she go with Donald Trump.
About that
Here
bill
come the
and
blame
told them
shifter.
to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want
Yeah, we want to
are
have it.
solutions. And they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
Like you
but
are.
actually is focused on fixing
Six
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it.
Those 6 Democrats, I did find out who they were. Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Markey of Massachusetts, Kristen Sinema of Arizona. I believe she was a Democrat and now she's an independent. Alex Padilla of California and LaFonza Butler of California. Those are the 6 senators that voted against it. So she talking about this bipartisan. Okay, well then there was bipartisan support against the bill. Okay, but let's listen at her dig herself a deeper hole.
These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise.
Yeah.
Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, you owe
Brett,
those families
I think
an apology.
I wonder how she's gonna answer this question. Because remember, she didn't answer the last one about how many illegals came in under her administration in these last 3.5 years. And then when she talked about that particular border bill that 6 of her fellow Democratic senators did not vote for. And now, as Brett Baer is pointing out, you have 3 women who have died because of illegal migrants that murdered them. And now she's probably about to make some excuses because that border bill would not have helped that situation because those people should not have been in the country in the first place. But let's see what she's going to say.
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases.
Yes, they are.
There's no question about it. There is no question about it. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred.
Exactly.
So that is true. It is also true that if a...
Let me say this real quick. I don't know if y'all know this. Even till today, her or Joe Biden, but I'm using her, won't even say these individuals' names. Brett Baer just pointed out their names to her face and asked, did she regret the policy that they did implement, which allowed for those illegals to come in here and murder these people? But this is word salad Kamala. Let's see what she's going to say.
Border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we...
No future harm would occur. These people died. Should not have occurred.
A president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology as
I
well?
will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions.
No, she ready to blame Donald Trump. These people have no shame. This mother just said because of your policies, her child is dead. And you about to blame Donald Trump. He's not in office. You should have left his policies in place. You should have left Remain in Mexico in place. And those people would have not even stepped foot in the country. Because even if they would have claimed asylum, then we would have said, okay, no problem. We're going to investigate this. You wait over there. And this way, this keep our people safe. And we find out whether what you're saying is true or not. And once we verify all of that, then we may proceed with the process. Unless she would just.
Let's talk about that as well. Brett, in all fairness, I told you I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When
Yep.
in your mind did it start
And it
becoming a
wasn't.
crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's
That's true.
administration even before.
But at least you try to do something about it.
Let's all be honest about that.
We are.
I have no pride
We
in
know you
saying that
don't.
this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed.
Yes.
We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they.
She went down there for a photo op. She didn't go to where the real problem is. She made sure of that. She went to a portion of the border. Then why, if the water was so such a problem, then why in the world would it take you 3.5 years before you go down there and do something about it? If it's been such a big problem that we have been dealing with for decades, and as you said, that we know that we need to deal with, then why did you undo what was working? And when you finally did show up at the border, you showed up for a photo op. You didn't go in the areas that was really affected by it. Oh, these people. I don't know how y'all can put up with this. Oh my gracious.
Tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist.
Yeah.
They will tell you we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
They need more resources, and Congress
Which gonna
ultimately
cost
is the
us more
only
money.
place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
It is how the system works, but you're in office right now. Think about this, people. Seriously, think about this. Her administration is in office right now, and when they first came in, they had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the presidency. You could have did something about it then to fix it, and they're doing nothing about it. They're letting this happen on purpose because they want voters to come in here and replace Americans. That's what's happening. Look around. Look in your cities. Look in your towns. Look at what's going on. Go to the fast food restaurant. Look at who's working there. These people are here illegally. Those are jobs that Americans can have. What are we doing? Oh my gracious, people.
That's question.
But
There were
that's
90 plus executive orders that were
90.
extended in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talked to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
Because she ain't do nothing.
Frustrated, and I get it. They want support.
You ain't give it to them.
Support, and that's what that border security bill would have done.
Keep going back to this bill. This woman wants to be the leader of the free world, and she can't even get anything done. How dumb is that? Why in the world, if you failed at the job that you currently have and you can still do something about it right now, you don't have to wait till the election, then why in the world will we promote you when you've been an absolute failure? This ain't got nothing to do with you being black, woman, or whatever. Because at this stage, people don't know who you are. They don't know what to believe about you.
They're working around the clock. I get it.
She don't get it. But listen, I know I'll keep stopping. This kind of stuff just frustrates. Ugh. Look, go watch it. If you want, go watch the interview, the full interview, Fox News. And I'm sure if you go to YouTube, you can see a whole bunch of people got a whole bunch of clips about with it and what have you. And again, I told you, this is just my commentary on it. Because I think that, we need to break down what this nut is saying. Because to me, at the end of the day, you're in office right now. You can do something right now. You guys control the Senate. And if you can do something on day one, then day one ought to start right now. Go get it done. Get Congress back in there. Show the American people what you really can do. Get them in there and say, get this done. Then they get the bill and they get it to put it on your desk. And then, since Biden is still the president, you get him to sign it. Do something. But y'all know she's not going to do that.
There are a lot of people that look at you said in 2019 when you first ran for president.
No, okay.
And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you?
You want all that to happen, and all that stuff is, it's free to them, but that just means all of us as Americans are the ones that's going to have to pay for these illegal aliens to be in our country illegally, broke the law to get here, but we're supposed to house them, pay for their housing, pay for their schooling, allow them to get driver's license, and pay for their health care. What happened to Americans of every stripe? What happened to legal Americans? Let's see what she's going to say about this one.
Still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
So she just said she will follow the law. If you will follow the law says that if you break the law, then guess what? You got to pay the price for that. These people broke the law to get here, then why don't you send them to jail? Don't reward them by putting them up in 5-star hotels in Chicago, in New York. Allowing them to go to school, allowing them to get Section 8 housing, allowing them to get apartments, allowing them to get debit cards with people got receipts where they got getting $4, $5, $10, $13, $20,000 on them. Really? But you're gonna support the law. You're gonna follow the law. The law said if you come in here as an illegal alien, then we have the right to deport you. Deport them. What's wrong with that? But let's see what else you're gonna have to say about this line of questioning.
That's the case. You chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota,
Yeah, he's
who
a nut.
signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in
You
decriminalizing
said it.
border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are issues that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm.
Those people who come across our border that we do not know who they are, we have no opportunity to vet them. We don't know who is coming across our border, and y'all are just letting these people pour into our country. And then you're gonna try to go to, oh, I prosecuted this and okay, then why didn't you stop these people from coming into our country in the first place? I think it was about 2 weeks ago, they just did a report where there have been over 450,000 illegals that have been let into the country that we know of who have criminal records. Many of them do. They know they are, and this is her White House. They've released a report showing that over 13,000 of them are known murderers, but yet y'all let them in the country. But yet you want to go and act like you are this tough prosecutor. Really? Why? Well, then why did you prosecute innocent, here it is, black men? Or why were you tough on this woman who had a daughter who had sickle cell that the school knew about, but you wanted to lock her up to make a public spectacle of her for her child who was in the hospital, who ended up having a stroke because of you wanting to lock up her mom, who ended up losing her house, trying to take care of her sick daughter. But you want to make an example of her. Her daughter had sickle cell anemia. Look this up. Somebody did a documentary on it. But she act like she's so tough. If she went after parents and wanted to lock up parents who are taking care of their children, sick children. I don't know how y'all can go for this.
Our border illegally, and I will do that work as vice president. I take that work
You
quite
will do that. You ain't did it now.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are
All
inundated
around the
with
country.
commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
A lot.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So
she just did that on September the 20th. She's sitting next to a man dressed like a woman. What? It's her. She can mad at Trump all she wants to. This is you. These are words come out of your mouth.
are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates
She said this.
illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law.
He gonna follow the law. Look, this. Be clear. These are the people who say that you ought to follow the science, but they don't follow basic biology. A man cannot become a woman. and a woman cannot become a female. Let's just get that straight. You believe whatever you want to believe. You think however you want to think. You go right ahead. I don't believe that. If you want to go down that rabbit hole yourself, that's if you think you are a giraffe, you're a giraffe. If you think you are a monkey, you're a monkey. If you think you are a dumbbell, you're a dumbbell. You just don't have to believe that. You have every right to believe you are who you say you are. Just like I have every right to believe that I am who I say I am, and I have every right to not believe what you believe. Just like you have every right to not believe what I believe. We're all individuals. So again, that's what you want to do. That's how you feel. Go right ahead. But biology, science says something different. But let's see how she's gonna answer this one. I won't be surprised if she opens up her mouth because I've listened to this one enough. I won't be surprised if she opens up her mouth and blames Donald Trump.
It's a law that Donald Trump followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think,
Just
frankly,
because they were available don't mean
from
that
the
he
Trump
supported
campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition.
Well, you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
And no.
it. Did y'all hear what she just said? You got to take responsibility for what happened in your administration. So inflation at a 40-year high came under your administration. Gas prices went ridiculous, especially when you guys first came in under your administration. Still higher than they were when you came in because gas was right around $2 per gallon nationwide. Some places were under $2, like $1.89. In some places, got up to $5, $6, and $7 higher in California because California just I don't know about them. But even right now, under your administration, everything is still higher than it was. Interest rates were lower, eggs were lower, milk were lower, housing prices were lower. To be able to borrow money was lower. Everything was cheaper prior to you guys coming in. And you got the nerve enough to say that you need to take responsibility for your administration. Thank you. You do. And you're going to find out.
Surgeries happened in this pregnancy. So, would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgery?
Follow the law, just as
I will follow the law. I will follow the law. And answer the question. All you got to do is say no. No, I won't. I don't believe the taxpayers ought to pay for that. The American people don't want to support that. So what are you talking about? I will follow the law. I will follow. See, she's not answering the question. Y'all notice that? She's not answering the question. All she has to do is say no. You don't have to make a big deal about it. No. You can leave it right there. No is a complete sentence.
Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people.
People, go to Donald Trump's website. You will find his agenda. You will see exactly what Donald Trump is talking about. He's never hid that at all. And she just did something fake for black men. Oh, and others. She's gonna loan them up 1 million men, black men, and others, up to $20,000 to start a business. You just now put something out, and if it was supposed to be a policy for black men, why didn't you just make it for quote unquote black men? Even though you're running for the presidency of the United States of America. If I was any other race, I would be offended by that. Okay, well, what about white men? What about Asians? What about Indians? What about you name the ethnicity? Name the race. What about them? I mean, really? What are we doing here? We are all Americans. We ought to do whatever that we can for the good of America. Everybody's not going to be pleased, but if it's in the best interest of the country, that is what we ought to be looking to. But Donald Trump has not hidden from his policies. He lays them right out. If you look on his website, I think got 20 things listed right there as to what he wants to do. And this is not Project 2025 that they're trying to attach to him. Go read that. If you read Project 2025, which is a part of the Heritage Foundation, there are a lot of things in there you'll find. Oh, I agree with you. Oh, wow. Oh, but again, but that's neither here nor there. He's not a part of that. Even the people of Heritage have even said Donald Trump is not a part of that. It has nothing to do. But Donald Trump has never hid what his particular policies are. He's about America first, and that includes all Americans. But all you want to do is keep on blame shifting.
Whereas $20 million on that app on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people,
Yeah.
it's really quite remote. And again, his
Remote.
policy was no different. Look at where we are, though. Plans for the American people. I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need.
What's your plan?
My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation, and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
We have 2016 to 2020 to look at. Donald Trump's policies worked. It didn't cause a recession. People were getting bonuses. Manufacturing was coming back. What are you talking about?
More people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you.
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as president of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page.
We ready to turn the page from you. You get it? You're in office right now. We're not buying what you're selling. Really? We can't be that ignorant. We're turning the page from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Do you realize that 6 out of the past 16 years, Democrats have been in charge? Only 4 of the last 16 years was a Republican, Donald J. Trump, in charge. And if I look at the 8 years prior to him and the 4 years after him, compared to the 4 years during him, things were a lot better in those 4 years for the entire country, let alone the world, because we were in no wars. We had peace. We had trade agreements that benefited America. Our enemies were afraid to attack us, to do anything. I mean, things were just different. Did you fail to realize that we could actually look at his record and we can look at your record and we see night and day things were a whole lot better.
The divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that
Y'all the
has
one
come out
that's
of Donald
divisive.
Trump, people are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want
Away
a
from you.
president who has a plan for the future
And it ain't you.
and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country.
Give me a
My
break.
plan for the economy
Give me a
does
break.
exactly that.
No, it
His
doesn't.
plan would be again to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country, and
The biggest corporations in our country right now are faring a whole lot better under this administration. Under the last administration, everybody benefited. Y'all remember those companies giving out bonuses? Y'all remember people, instead of rushing from this to this, you can choose what y'all want to go to. People were incentivizing uh, other people to go from one company to the next, offering them signing bonuses and everything. Why? Because the economy was a whole lot better for everybody. Just like when they talk about taxing the rich to make them pay their fair share. How long we been hearing that? What is somebody's fair share? They don't tell you that the people who are the richest, well, they'll say the 1%, they pay almost 80% of all the taxes. So what are we talking about? But what is their fair share? They never put a number on that. You're in again at the end of the day. Think about this, people. She's in office right now. She can do these things right now. If you're the real leader that you say you are, then you can do this stuff right now. Go get it done before the election. And then people might vote for you because they can see what you've done. But thus far, no, we haven't. No, I'm done.
blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than Biden. Here's what you said.
Oh, come on.
Would you have done something differently, President Biden, during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
Right.
No.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear.
Be
My
clear.
presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's
Yes, it
presidency.
would be.
And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
That we don't want.
For example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite
But you've been a
ideas,
politician.
whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers.
We have first-time home buyer programs all over the country, in every state. If I'm a builder or if I'm somebody who's selling a house to somebody, especially if I know you're a first-time home buyer, I'm going to raise the price by $25,000. This was going to happen. Y'all know it, some know it. So all it's going to do is increase that. So this idea that you're gonna, I mean, and I think that we have what, over 1 million houses. You know, I gotta look at the number. I haven't looked at it lately, but I think as of last week, actually, as of a couple of days ago, it was over maybe 1.3 or 1.6 million houses that are available. It's not that people can't go buy houses, um, or that we have a housing crisis. The houses are there. People are not making enough money to go buy them. They can't afford them because the interest rate is higher. Interest rates was around 2%. Now you got what, 7, 8, 9%? Really? And if you can lower the cost of housing because rent has went up, why don't you do it right now? Again, at the end of the day, y'all, all of these things that she's talking about, she can do now. She could have done during this administration. She didn't do it, and she can do now. Why is she not? Why is she not doing them? That's the question. Why not? You know why? Because she don't care about the American people. They don't care about that. They're showing us exactly who they are.
For small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward.
New way
Time
forward.
to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5
There you
years.
go.
So what are you turning the page from?
Exactly. That's what we want
Well,
to know.
first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and
Okay, I gotta stop it right there. I told you I gotta stop. You know, I want to make sure it's YouTube. I don't want to get copyrighted. Fox News is not bad at that, but some of this stuff, oh, did y'all know what she just said? The past decade. If you go back to the past decade, some of those years would include Barack Hussein Obama. Are you about to throw him up under the bus?
implemented to divide our country.
How?
Have Americans literally point fingers at each
That's
other.
what y'all do.
Rhetoric.
That's what critical race theory does. That's what you guys want to do. You want black people to feel uh, inferior to white people. You guys pit the races against races. There's no. Let me be clear on this. There's nobody, black, white, Jamaican, Indian, Asian, whatever, is superior to me. I'm a child of God. I'm free. And whom the Son sets free is free indeed. Jesus Christ is my Lord and my Savior. I look to him, not man. And so you guys want to divide the country. You guys want to divide the classes, the races, the culture, That's under you. That's what's going on because y'all want that to happen because y'all want us to go against one another. Everything you're doing, identity politics. Really? Why not bring us together? And again, you haven't done it thus far. You know why? Because you don't want that to happen. Y'all want all this chaos to happen because you want control. You want power over the people. And the people are saying, enough. We've had it. We're not going for it. We're turning the page away from you. Oh, y'all better hear this. And we're turning the page away from Democrats. That's Republicans, Democrats, and independents alike. Y'all need to recognize the movement with Donald Trump. Even Donald Trump knows it's not about him. He's the head of it. But it's a movement that we're not for the establishment anymore. We're for America. We're fighting for being Americans. Let's see what she's about to finish up and say here, y'all.
An approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam
That
Vice
is
President, more
turning
than
the page.
70% of people
That is
tell
about turning the
pollsters-
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than
People
70%
are
of
exhausted.
people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president
Right.
and President Biden being president.
Right.
That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the
Why?
page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
Exactly.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
You've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I.
No, we don't know what you're talking about. I got to stop right there, y'all. Donald Trump this. Donald Trump that. Trump, Trump, Trump. Everything is Trump's fault. When are we going to stop playing the blame game? You said it yourself, Madam Vice President. You need to take responsibility for your administration. And America is turning the page because we do want a new way forward, and it ain't you. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I would love to hear what you got to say about this. And like I said, go watch. It's on YouTube, Fox News, or a bunch of internet people. The clips are right there, but you can watch the get it right from Fox News yourself, and then see exactly what she's saying out of her own mouth. Make your own decisions, people. But what she's offering up, I ain't buying it.